Oh, put it right back. Good morning. I'm going to read in Matthew 19, 1 through 15. 19, 1 through 15. Discussion about divorce and marriage. After Jesus finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went southward toward the region of Judea. And in that area, east of the Jordan River, vast crowds followed him there, and he healed their sick. Some Pharisees came and tried to trap him with this question: should a man be allowed to divorce his wife for any reason? Haven't you read the scripture? Jesus replied. They record that from the beginning God made them male and female. And he said, this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united into one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one separate them, for God has joined them together. Then why did Moses say a man could merely write an official letter of divorce and send her away, they asked. Jesus replied, Moses permitted divorce as a concession to your hard-hearted wickedness, but it was not what God had originally intended. And I tell you this, a man who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, unless his wife has been unfaithful. Jesus' disciples then said to him, then it is better not to marry. Not everyone can accept this statement, Jesus said. Only those whom God helps. Some are born as eunuchs. Some have been made that way by others. And some choose not to marry for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Let anyone who can accept this statement. Jesus blesses the children. Some children were brought to Jesus so he could lay his hands on them and pray for them. The disciples told them not to bother him, but Jesus said, let the children come to me. Don't stop them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. And he put his hands on their heads and blessed them before he left. That's Matthew 19, 1 through 15. Next for today is Numbers 9 and 10. Then Ecclesiastes 7. 9 and 10. The second Passover. The Lord gave these instructions to Moses in early spring. Today's the first day of spring. During the second year after Israel's departure from Egypt, while he and the rest of the Israelites were in the wilderness in Sinai, tell the Israelites to celebrate the Passover at the proper time, at twilight on the appointed day in early spring. Be sure to allow my laws and my regulations to follow my laws and regulations concerning this celebration. So Moses told the people to celebrate the Passover in the wilderness at Sinai at twilight on the appointed day. And they celebrated the festival there, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. But some of the men had been ceremonially defiled by touching a dead person, so they could not offer their Passover lambs that day. So they came to Moses and Aaron that day and said, we have been ceremonially unclean by touching a dead person. But why should we be excluded from presenting the Lord offerings at the proper time with the rest of the Israelites? Moses answered, wait here until I have received instructions for you from the Lord. This was the Lord's reply. Say to the Israelites, if any of the people now or in the future generations are ceremonially unclean at the Passover time because of touching a dead body, or if they are on a journey and cannot be present at the ceremony, they may still celebrate the Lord's Passover. They must offer Passover sacrifice 1 month later, at twilight on the appointed day. They must eat the lamb at the time with the bitter herbs and the bread made without yeast. They must not leave any of the lamb until the next morning. They must not break any of its bones. They must follow all of the normal regulations concerning Passover. But those who are ceremonially clean and not away on a trip yet still refuse to celebrate Passover at the regular time will be cut off from the community of Israel for failing to present the Lord offering at the proper time, and they will suffer the consequences of their guilt. And if foreigners living among you want to celebrate the Passover to the Lord, they must follow the same laws and the regulations. The same laws apply to both you and to the foreigners living among you. The fiery cloud. The tabernacle was set up on that day, and the cloud covered it. Then from the evening until morning, the cloud over the tabernacle appeared to be a pillar of fire. This was the regular pattern. At night, the cloud changed to the appearance of fire. When the cloud lifted from over the sacred tent, the people of Israel followed it, and wherever the cloud settled, the people of Israel camped. In this way, they traveled at the Lord's command and stopped whenever he told them. Then they remained where they were as long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle. If the cloud remained over the tabernacle for a long time, the Israelites stayed for a long time, just as the Lord commanded. Sometimes the cloud would stay over the tabernacle for only a few days, so the people would stay for only a few days. Then at the Lord's command, they would break camp. Sometimes the cloud stayed overnight and moved on the next morning. But day or night, when the cloud lifted, the people broke camp and followed. Whenever the cloud stayed above the tabernacle for 2 days, a month, or a year, the people of Israel stayed in camp and did not move on. But as soon as it lifted, they broke the camp and moved on. So they camped or traveled at the Lord's command, and they did whatever the Lord told them through Moses. Numbers 10, the silver trumpets. Now the Lord said to Moses, "Make 2 trumpets of beaten silver, to be used for summoning the people to assemble and for signaling the breaking of camp. When both trumpets are blown, the people will know that they are to gather before you at the entrance of the tabernacle. But if only one is blown, then only the leaders of the tribe of Israel will come to you. When you sound the signal to move on, the tribe on the east of the tabernacle will break up camp and move forward. When you sound the signal for the second time, the tribe of the south will follow. You must sound short blasts signaling moving on. But when you call the people to assembly, blow the trumps using a different signal. Only the priests, Aaron's descendants, are allowed to blow the trumpets." This is a permanent law to be followed from generation to generation. When you arrive in your own land and go to war against your enemy, you must sound the alarm with these trumpets to the Lord your God. So the Lord your God will remember you and rescue you from your enemies. Blow the trumpets in times of gladness too, sounding them at your annual festivals and at the beginning of each month to rejoice over your burnt offerings and peace offerings. The trumpets will remind you, the Lord your God, of his covenant is with you. I am the Lord your God. The Israelites leave Sinai. One day in mid-spring during the second year after Israel's departure from Egypt, the cloud lifted from the tabernacle of the covenant. So the Israelites set out from the wilderness of Sinai and traveled in stages until the cloud stopped in the wilderness of Paran. When the time to move on, the Lord gave the order through Moses. The tribes that camped with Judah heard the march with his banner under the leadership of Nahshon, the son of Amminadab. The tribe of Issachar was led by Nathaniel, son of Zerah. The tribe of Zebulun was led by Eliab, son of Helon. Then the tabernacle was taken down, and the Gershonite and the Meronite divisions of the Levites were next in line of march, carrying the tabernacle with them. Then the tribes that camped with Reuben set out with their banner under the leadership of Elizur, son of Shedeur. The tribe of Simeon was led by Shemiel, son of Shezur Rishadadi. The tribe of Gad was led by Eliphaz, son of Dero. Next, the Kohanite division of the Levites carried the sacred objects from the tabernacle. When they arrived at the next camp, the tabernacle would already be set up in its new location. Then the tribes that camped with Ephraim set out with their banners under the leadership of Elishama, son of Amminadab. The tribe of Manasseh was led by Galamiel, son of Pedizur. The tribe of Benjamin was led by Abidan, the son of Gideon. Last of all the tribes that camped with Dan set out under their banner. They served as regular guard for the tribal camps. All of the tribe of Dan headed this group under the leadership of Elijah, son of Ammishaddai. The tribe of Asher was led by Pagiel, son of Okran. The tribe of Naphtali was led by Ahir, son of Enan. This was the order of the tribes, marched division by division. One day Moses said to his brother-in-law Hobab, son of Ruel, the Midianite, "We are on our way to the promised land. Come with us, and we will treat you well, for the Lord has given wonderful promises to Israel." But Hobab replied, "No, I will not go. I must return to my own land and family." "Please don't leave us," Moses pleaded. "You know the places in the wilderness where we camp could become our guide, and we will share with you all the goods that the Lord does for us." They marched for 3 days after leaving the mountain of the Lord with the ark of the Lord's covenant moving ahead of them. Show them where to stop and rest as the Lord moved on each day. The cloud of the Lord hovered over them, and whenever the ark set out, Moses would cry, "Arise, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered. Let them flee before you." And when the ark was set down, he would say, "Return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel." Numbers 9 and 10. Finishing up today in Ecclesiastes 7. Ecclesiastes 7. Wisdom for life. Wisdom for life. A good reputation is more valuable than the most expensive perfume. The same way the day you died is better than the day you were born. It is better to spend your time at funerals than at festivals. For you are going to die, and you should think about it while there still is time. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks much about death, while fools think only about having a good time now. It is better to be criticized by a wise person than be praised by a fool. Indeed, a fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in a fire. This is also meaningless. Extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Don't be quick-tempered, for anger is the friend of fools. Don't long for the good old days, for you don't know whether they were any better than today. Being wise is good. Max, come here. Come here before I shut the door. Come here. Come here. Sit down. Come here. Being wise is as good as being rich. In fact, it is better. Wisdom or money. Oh my dog, hold on. I have to let the dog out. Where was I? Being wise is as good as being rich. In fact, it is better. Wisdom or money can get you almost anything. But it's important to know that only wisdom can save your life. Notice the way God does things, then fall into line. Don't fight the ways of God, for who can straighten out what he has made crooked? Enjoy prosperity. Enjoy prosperity while you can. But when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. That way, you will realize that nothing is certain in this life. The limits of human wisdom. In this meaningless life, I have seen everything, including the fact that some good people die young and some wicked people live on and on. So don't be too good or too wise. Why destroy yourself? On the other hand, don't be too wicked either. Don't be a fool. Why should you die before your time? So try to walk in the middle course. But those who fear God will succeed either way. A wise person is stronger than 10 citizens. A wise person is stronger than the 10 leading citizens of a town. There is not a single person in all the earth who is always good and never sins. Don't eavesdrop on others. You may hear your servant laughing at you, for you know how often you yourself have laughed at others. All along, I tried my best to let wisdom guide my thoughts and actions. I said to myself, I am determined to be wise, but it didn't really work. Wisdom is always distant and very difficult to find. I've searched everywhere, determined to find wisdom and to understand the reason for things. I was determined to prove myself that wickedness is stupid and foolishness is madness. I discovered that a seductive woman is more bitter than death. Her passion is a trap, and her soft hands will bind you. Those who please God will escape from her, but sinners will be caught in her snare. This is my conclusion, says the teacher. I came to the result after looking into the matter from every possible angle. Just one out of every 1,000 men I interviewed can be said to be upright, but not one woman. I discovered that God created people to be upright, but they have each turned to follow their own downward path. Ecclesiastes 7. Amen. Stay blessed for the day. Do this again tomorrow.